This week's passage that we're going to look at comes from Matthew 25, and it's verses 31 to 46. So quite a long reading. Well-known passage, prompted all sorts of debate and discussion down through the years. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another, as the shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." Then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you?" The king will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." Then he will say to those on his left, "Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes, and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison, and you did not look after me." Then they also will answer, "Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or needing clothes or sick or in prison and did not help you?" He will reply, "Truly, I tell you, whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me." Then they will go away to eternal punishment, but the righteous to eternal life. Thinking about stewardship, really, and so much of stewardship very quickly gets tied up with money, what we do with our money or what we do with our time. But the Bible has far more to say about what we do in relation to other people. The idea of service has to some extent perhaps vanished from our society. We like to think about what is in it for us. We like to think about the immediacy of getting some reward for what we are doing. One of the questions we could perhaps ask ourselves tonight is, how do we understand prophecy? We can see this passage as prophecy, and we can study the details of prophecy about Jesus' return until he appears. But prophecy, I don't think, is meant for us to study future details. Its main purpose is to challenge us to live well in the present. And I think that's what this Bible passage does. It gives us a glimpse of the future to motivate us in the present. Jesus was really teaching that there's a vast difference between investing and spending when it comes to our lives. This passage, sometimes called the closing judgment, focuses on the fact that caring for Jesus' followers is the same as caring for him. It also brings out more clearly than anywhere else our future accounting for the way we have used our opportunities for the kingdom in this life. So this idea is, how do we live now? So this challenge, this parable, if it is a parable, some people think it's a parable, some people think it's prophecy, maybe it's both. This parable is a challenge to invest our lives in others. Jesus' disciples in the previous chapter are asking Jesus some questions, and really I think they are hopeful of getting past all the hardships that come in life and just going straight to heaven. But Jesus uses Matthew 25 to try and give them a different perspective. They needed to keep their focus on the here and now. They had lost sight of the task to be completed before Jesus' return. Sometimes it's hard, isn't it, to keep our focus on the here and now. So Jesus taught about the future to motivate them into present tense obedience. So Jesus tells them this parable, and he talks about judgment, and he talks about the basis of that judgment being how we have treated others. And that's quite difficult for us. The image of the sheep and the goats, that's an idea with a drafting gate that one goes one way and one goes the other. You'll notice that later on, though, they are just addressed as the righteous and the lost, really. So it's a short-lived stipulation, the sheep and the goats. So the first half, the sheep, they are given to sit on the right of the king, and he calls them as being blessed by my Father, and that's a really nice thing to have. And they notice their surprise. They think, well, when did we do this, Jesus? When were we doing this for you? And Jesus says, in as much as you did it for the least of these, you did it for me. The other people are also surprised when they're told that they have fallen short. And they say, well, when did we see you, Jesus? And Jesus says to them, well, because you didn't do it for them, you didn't do it for me. I think it's quite true that we must live in a way that means we are ready for Christ's return, because I'm sure that that is going to happen at some point in the future. But really, the point of passages like today are to encourage us to live for Jesus' glory today in a way that blesses others. I hope we'll find a few things to talk about as we think about it tonight.